Hey, welcome to the channel. This is Darren with Never Finished Garage presents Hot Rod Devils. If you saw the previous videos, you know I took a break to build the Grease Lightning car. That was for a local production of Grease. That's came and went now. I've got the money for that project and I bought some supplies for the cars now, so I'll be able to get back on the buggy. So today I'm going to take the time and shoot some video of the buggy and the progress, show you the Baja and some other projects. Also have an Alfa Romeo, which I started working on. I have two garages. I had to take all of my tools over to the other garage, and since the Alfa was there, and I don't have heat in the wintertime, it's still summer now, I decided to go ahead and do some of the work on the Alfa, so I took a break from the buggy behind me. Okay, I'm going to end up breaking this video up in two parts. So on this first video here, I'm going to primarily just focus on the Alfa, and then I'll get back into the buggy and the Baja and do a shop tour on the next video. So I'm going to do two videos here. I'm not sure how long my videos can be on YouTube since I'm new now, so I'm going to try to keep them under 10 minutes. But this is just the Alfa project that I worked on between Grease. When the Grease car was being used for the show, the garage was cleared out, so basically I did all this work in the 2.5 to 3 weeks that I had between the shows. All right, after Grease, I started working on my Alfa Romeo, and I basically wanted to change the rear of the car. I didn't like how the rear of the car looked. I wanted to look more Italian, which is to say more Ferrari, basically. But the top of the spoiler on the front side of the driver and passenger side, it's a reverse curve, which is one of the hardest curves to make in metal fabrication. I hadn't done a lot of them at all very successfully, so this is the first time I basically worked myself into a corner where I had to learn how to do it. So a lot of people was asking about that, so I shot a little bit of video as I went through and made it. I made one side first, and once I had that, then I made a little pattern off of that. And then as I worked on the driver's side, or the passenger side, I took some video just to kind of show some people. It's not real in depth, but just to give you a little pointers. And they didn't come out perfect, really. But this car, I'm not trying to make perfect. I just kind of want it to be like a road race car, and I want it to look like it was found in the garage, like 30 years, like a barn find. So I'm not trying to get it perfect. It's not going to be a show car. It's just going to look like a race car that was pulled out of the garage after 30 years. The car has sat in the garage since 1995, so it was kind of a barn find. I traded the PT Cruiser for it that I had, so I don't have really any money in it. And what I have bought for it, I sold the bumpers off the back. I'll sell some other parts off of it. It came with extra parts, so I'm trying to build this car for basically next to nothing. So I'm to the point where right now I just have time into it, so that's where I'm trying to keep that project. In the future, I have plans we'll talk about later as a good project car, but I just wanted to get the body fixed the way I wanted it fixed. I wanted to redesign it, redo it, and it's in a garage where there's no heat during the wintertime. So I took the advantage of having all my tools in that garage from working on the Grease car. I decided to go ahead and work on the Alfa and take a break from the buggy. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. The same thing happened on the other one. When I start to stretch this, I get a flat spot. Kind of hard to see. I've got most of it knocked out, but I started to get a flat spot right here. Probably I'm not stretching enough on some section, I'm not sure. But how I'm fixing, I'm taking a piece of round, just a spare piece of round pipe. I think it's 2-inch, 1/8-inch wall, and I'm just using my hand to form it. Kind of sliding it as I hit it. I'm also kind of sliding it sideways across it, so it's not just a straight strike. It's easier to see from the back side, but it's starting to disappear. Alright, I've got that pretty smooth. I'm happy with that now. When you're stretching it, You can see it's pretty even across here, then it dips down. That just means that section needs to stretch more, come out. So I'll run through the stretcher and work that a little bit smoother. I'm getting close to taking it to the car the first time and seeing how close I am. All right, now I'm going to hammer some of these smooth, just get some of the smoothest. Now I'm to the point where I need to test fit it for the first time on the car. I've got a little bit that's starting to come back. I think that's where it's stretching over here is what's causing some of that to try to flatten out on me, but it's better than the other side. So. All right, there's the first test fit. It's actually closer than I thought. So I got a ways to go there. It's still going to be tighter. Radius down here at the bottom. I need to flatten out some of that curve of the back. That's too curved, but it's actually a lot closer than I thought. This section right here, where I marked from the pencil to the pencil line, right there, it's overstretched. You can kind of see right there, see how it's showing underneath of it. I need it to come down smooth so you don't get that dark line under the line. So I have to go back to the shrinker. I'll rework that section and get that shrunk. Now you can see when I show the edge, you're not seeing much of the underside. It's a nice smooth edge. If I turn it that way, of course you see it, but hold it there, you're basically just seeing the edge. So it's flattened out on the top. So time for another test fit. Okay, when I finished the other side, I made a tape pattern, which I had photographs of, you saw earlier. You can see when I had to flatten it out, it created these creases in it. When it had to be flattened out, that's the part that would have to be stretched once we make it. Now that I've stretched this pattern back out to its stretch shape, and it lays right in there, almost perfectly. So I know that both sides of the car now are fairly the same. Both curves should be close enough. So now it's just a matter of tweaking this, all the little fine points over there on the car, and tweaking it and getting it to fit. But it's pretty close, and both sides should be fairly symmetrical now. I've got a little bit of flat spot right there, which I'll have to hammer and dolly a little bit, but it's not too bad. So you can see the reverse curve in it. Curves both directions that way, and of course that way. Okay, this is kind of what you're after. This piece just laying in here, it's got 2 tacks in it, but it pretty much lines up on both edges. So I'm not trying to force it. I don't have to bend it in. There's a little bit here on the top you can see, but that'll come together. But for the most part, it's not under a bind. It's laying in there like it should. Follows the contour on both sides, and ultimately that's what you're after. So you don't have to force it. If you're forcing it, then you're going to put pressure on the other side. So you're going to, if I had to force this, it's going to try to bend this forward, which is not what you want. You want it to be where you want it. So ultimately you try to get all your bends and all your curves in, so everything kind of just lays right into place without even having to tack it in. That's your ultimate goal.